Now, going back to the front-end project, there are two tasks we need to do in the front end. First, inside the login page, we need to add a new form that allows user to provide the username and password on this login page. And second, we're going to create a function to call the login API, just like this one, to authenticate an user. And if it is successful, then the server will return an auth token back to the front end. All right. So let's go back to our front-end project and let's open the source page and login.js. And here we need to implement a couple of things. First, I'm going to import from the React Bootstrap. All right, and here we need to import button, columns, form, and the row. All right. And then for the React, we also need to import the uState. All right, which is the hook for manage the state inside a React component. Okay. So inside here, let's make a curly brackets like this, and we can say return and paste it in here. And also up here we need to define two state for username and password. So let's say username, and we say set username equal uState. So the default value, we leave it blank. All right, so I just copy paste this one. And another state we need is a password, and the set the password. Again, the default value, we just leave it blank. All right, and then we're going to create a an event named onClick, which is a function. All right, so right now we just keep it blank. All right, now let's go back to the return. So inside here, we no longer just display a login text, and instead we need to display a couple of things. We need to display the form with the username and password. But first, let's create a row. All right, for this one, we set the class name equal justify content and center to put everything at the center. And then down there we just create a new column, and for the large side we say 6 column, and for the mediums we say 8 column. And then we just display the cart. Inside that, just display the cart body, cart.body. All right, so inside here, let's just say the header tree. For this one, we say class name. Class name we set to text center. All right, to make a text in the center, and we just create the bold text. Oops. All right, we say login. Okay. So down below, we're going to display two forms. The first one is a form.group. This one we say form.label. We can put it here, say username. All right, and then from.control. Well, actually, this one we just need to say like this. Okay, now here from control, the type should be text, and placeholder we're gonna say enter username, and for the value we're going to say username. And for the on change, we're going to set a function. And first we're going to pass the event, and then we say set username, and we're going to pass a value which is e.target.value. All right, hit save. The card, I think we should add the card up here. Okay, that seems to be good. You can make a break here. All right, just like that. Okay, so I might copy this one, copy it, put it here, and this time we change this one to enter the password. The value is password. This one is set password. And finally, we add the button. Say sign in. Okay. Now for this button, we say variant equal standard, and the style is block. And for the on-click event, we're gonna say just execute the on-click function that we defined up here. But right now it's just a blank function. So if you click on this button, nothing happened. All right, hit save. Now remember that the standards, variant standard, we already defined that inside the index.cls. Remember that we got b10 standard. All right. So that seemed to be good. Now let's go back to our front end. Okay, so by default, it's just display a form for us like this with the username. All looks like we're missing the label for the password. So let's quickly go back here. And yeah, I was missing the form label for this one. All right, this one should be password, and actually it needs to be inside a form group. So that means we had to create a form group and paste that one inside here. All right, now for the button, of course it needs to be outside of the form group. All right, hit save. Now let's go back here. All right, much better. Right now, if you click on sign in, nothing happened. So the next thing we want to do is we're going to create a function to call the API from the server. So let's quickly open the source. We need to create a new file. So right click on the source, and this one we say apis.js. First, we need to import the toaster from React Toastify. All right, and then we just create a new sign-in function by saying export function sign-in, and we're going to pass the username and password as a parameter. All right, so inside here, we just return and run the fetch function to fetch an API by passing the URL, which is auth token login / and commas, and then we're going to define a couple of things inside this one, inside the curly bracket. So first we need to define the method, which is post, and we need to pass the headers details at the header, which would be content type. We say should be the application/JSON. So that means we pass the JSON as a content type for the header, and for the body, it should be JSON dot string 5, and we're going to pass an object with username and password. All right, just like that. Okay, so the fetch function should return a promise. So it's a asynchronous project, so we need to say dot then. We can put it here. Then if we have a response back from the server, we're gonna execute something inside here. And first I'm gonna write that down to the console log and see what the response looks like. And then I'm going to check if response.ok, that's mean everything's successfully. Then we're going to return response.json. All right. And because response.json is a synchronous process, then we need to say then when you process and return back to the client, we're going to do something. And in this case, we got back to the JSON, and we're going to say, hey, if I got the JSON correctly, and that's mean the code API successfully. If that's the case, then I'll just execute torture by saying JSON.stringify, put the JSON as a message, and for the type, we say success. All right, so simply we just display a notification of success here. That's mean, hey, you log in successfully, things like that. Now, if there's something wrong, all right, so if it is success, otherwise, if there are errors, for example, then how we can deal with that? So in this case, we can say return response.json then if we have the JSON, then we're going to execute the handle of the JSON error in here. We're going to handle JSON error response by the server. All right, so I'm going to check if the response.status equal 400, so that means there's something wrong with that. That means the authentication failed. Then we need to know why. All right, it could be the wrong password, or it could be the wrong username, etc. First, we need to grab that error by saying const errors equal objects.keys. We get the error list from the JSON, and then we say .map. We're going to map all of the errors. So in here, we're going to say k, and we're going to, this one is a backstick. All right, it's not a single quote. This one is single quote, and this one is a backstick. And we're going to say $sign curly brackets k colons $sign, and we're going to pass the JSON with the k at index.join. All right, now you don't really need to understand what's happening here, but basically because the server responds with a list of errors, simply we just want to show all of the error. All right, so that's why we got the map here. And after that, we just need to throw the new error with all of the errors by saying join, and we just separate them with a space. All right, very simple. Now, if that is not the case, it could be some other error. So we just throw a new general error here by saying JSON.stringify JSON. And then down here we say .catch. error, and we're gonna execute the function inside here. So just simply throw new error with the error. Okay, so I might put it here like this so for you easier to read. Alright, so as you can see, we throw a lot of error, but we need to catch those down here. Alright, by saying catch, and we're gonna catch on error, and if we catch an error, so down here we're gonna handle on errors throwing up here. Alright, by saying I can copy this one, torture, and this one should be the error.message, and for the type it's gonna be error. Alright, hit save. So basically this sign-in function just try to make a call to the API with this one, and like I demonstrated before, if it's successful, then it's going to return a auth token. Otherwise it's going to raise an error, and all of those things we done here, it just simply catch on the error. So like I say, it could be the wrong email, wrong username, or wrong password. All right, and that's why we gonna display the torture error here. Okay, so now we need to implement this sign-in back to the login. So let's go back to our login page. First we need to import the API that we just added. So here I'm going to say import the sign-in from the APIs. And next we're going to the onClick function. All right, and we're going to call the sign-in, and we're going to pass the username and password. All right, so that's mean once the user click on this button, which is the sign-in button, it will execute the onClick function, and inside the onClick function it's gonna call the sign-in API, which is execute this function to fetch to the API to the server. And the way we pass the username and password, it comes from the state. All right, because we already provide username and password in here. So this login components store the state of the username and password in those one, and so we just need to pass her inside the sign-in function. Okay, one more step to go. Now, because in the API function we just call the fetch, but as you can see, there's no domain before that. So let's open the package.json and scroll up. So under the private, we just add a proxy, and we're going to call HTTP localhost 8000 commas and save it. So by adding this line, we can now call the API, and it's automatically add on to the fetch here. So let's go back to the login page, hit fetch, and make sure that everything's look good. Now let's try with some things incorrect. So for example, ABC, the password ABC123, and if you hit sign in, hey, it's like the error syntax, unexpected token in JSON at position 0. So there's something wrong. So we need to open view and developer tool. All right, and we can check the console. So now we can see that here is console, which is display the response, and the response with the status not found. All right, so instead of showing the errors like the syntax error, we should display the status text, which is more meaningful. Okay, so now let's go back to our API.js, and let's go to the catch. All right, the catch inside this block. All right, so in here I might put a check if e dot name, arrow name equal syntax error. Then I'm going to throw a new arrow, and I'm going to pass the message like the status text instead. Alright, hit save. Okay, and also the line 25 to 29. Alright, I got a syntax error here. It need to be triple equal like this. Alright, now let's clear all of those. Hit refresh to make sure that everything's right. Now I'm gonna put the incorrect username first. So ABC, password ABC123. Obviously we don't have this one in here. Looks like I got it wrong. So let's go back to the login page. Okay, this time it needs to be password. Alright, hit save. Alright, it's turned to this one. Alright, now I'm gonna hit sign in and see what's happening. Alright, it's saying not found. Beautiful. The reason for that is because we don't have that user inside our database. Great. And if you want to invest more, you can check the response. Beautiful, not found. Great. Now I'm gonna type the correct one, which is admin, and the password is password. Hit sign in. Not found again. Now I just noticed that in here it still make a request to the localhost 3000, not the 8000, which is the port for the server. So there's something wrong with this. Now let's go back to our proxy. Here it's already 8000. Okay, I need to restart the server, so I'm gonna stop it by pressing Ctrl C and then run the npm start, hit enter to make sure that is load the proxy correctly. Okay, so now let's try it one more time. Admin, password, and hit sign in. Authenticate. Alright, so this time we log in correctly and it just returned the authenticate for us. Beautiful. Now don't worry about the response HTTP 3000 here because it's come from the response URL. Nothing to worry about it. What we want to do is we're going to check. Alright, so our server, it did get the post. Alright. This one came from the previous wrong one, so that's fine. We know that it got the code to the server, yep, which is correct. So let's try one more time with the incorrect ones. ABC, sign in. Hey, so now we got the error. Now the error message doesn't look right to me. First, it's gonna still display this label, and second, it display the JavaScript codes. So there must be something wrong with that. Now let's go back to our API and let's go to where we define that one. No, first I'm going to remove this part. Oh, okay. In here I got a typo. It needs to be inside the curly brackets. All right, the whole thing needs to be inside the curly brackets and the dollar sign. All right, hit save. Now I might try one more time. So we got the ABC, hit sign in. Okay, beautiful. So we got error, unable to log in with the provided credential. Wow, it's a bit long videos, but you learn so much things. Now this is the first time we set up the API and making the UI connect to the API and return the data back to the client. So in a later video, it should be easier for you.